Hello and welcome back. We're going to jump right into our Think About It questions. When can you use Think Addition to make problem solving easier? I think you can use it all the time because you don't have to regroup and you don't have to write anything out. You can just do it in your head. And which strategies do you like to use to solve subtraction number sentences? I, in particular, really like the Think Addition, but I also use other strategies that I've learned over the years as well. So today, we're going to jump into triple-digit addition and subtraction. But before we begin, I would like you to pause your video and go and collect your work log or a piece of paper and a pencil. Go ahead and do that now. Triple-digit addition and subtraction. To do this, we are going to use similar strategies that we learned for the double-digit, but not all of them are efficient the way we learned them when it's triple digits because those big numbers are a lot bigger. Before we actually do the triple digit though, let's review how we do the double digit. 25 plus 17 and 62 minus 44. I'd like you to pause your video and work through these two problems using the strategies you've learned in the last two videos. Go ahead and do that now. Here are the two ways that I solve these problems. You may have done something different, and that's all right. For 25 plus 17, I used partial sum, so I split up the 25 into 20 and 5, and the 17 into 10 and 7. I added my tens place together and I got 30. I added my ones place together and I got 12. I added those together to get 42. And down here with the subtraction, 62 minus 44, I used the counting up strategy. So I started with my part 44, and then I counted up until I got to 62. So first I counted up 10, and then I counted up 8 more. That got me to 62, and I jumped a total of 18 times. Before we begin with our first strategy, it's important that we understand the place value of each of these numbers. So if I say 734, and I want you to pull that number apart, how many hundreds am I going to have? I'm going to have 7, because in my hundreds place I have a 7, which tells me I have 7 100s. And then how many 10s do I have? Well, I look to my tens place. This tells me that I have 3 10s. And how many ones do I have? I look to my ones place, which tells me I have 4 ones. So this represents 734. 7 100s, 3 10s, and 4 ones. So our first strategy that we're going to use is partial products, just like we did with double-digit addition. The reason we can use it with triple-digit and it's still efficient is because you can pull apart from a number that's 3 digits, you can pull apart into the 3 different place values very easily. Josie decides to count all her pennies. She has 466 in her piggy bank and 423 in her special box. How many pennies does Josie have altogether? The first thing we're going to do is write our number sentence. Our first part is 466, and our second part is 423. So we're going to write 466 plus 423. Now, using partial products and what you know from double-digit addition, you know that we're going to pull apart the numbers next. So 466, we're going to start by pulling apart the hundreds. How many hundreds do I have? 4. So 400. Now I need to go to the tens place. How many tens do I have? I have 6 tens, which is 60. And how many ones do I have? I have 6. So if you add 400 plus 60 plus 6, you're going to get 466. This is the same thing as this. We just pulled apart the numbers so that we can add them more easily. Now let's do the same thing with 423. How many hundreds? 4 hundreds. How many 10s? We have 2 10s right here. And how many 1s? We have 3. So now, again, just like we did with your partial products in double digit, you're going to add together the different place values. So we have our hundreds place value. That's going to equal 800. Then we have our tens place value, 60 plus 20. We're going to get 80. And then our ones place value, 6 plus 3 is 9. So we add those together and we get 889. Let's do this one together now. Maya and her brother go to 2 different parks every day after school. One day they decide to count how many trees there are in each park. At the first park they count 108 trees, and at the second park they count 342 trees. How many did they find? I'd like you to pause the video and write out the number sentence that you think goes with this. Your number sentence should be 108 plus 342, because we start with 108 trees and then we count 342 more. And we want to find out how many there are in both the parks. So now I want you to pause your video again and pull apart both 108 and 342. Go ahead and do that now. When you pull them apart, for 108, you may have just written 100 plus 8, and that's fine. I just put a 0 in here to remind me that we don't have any 10s at all. For 342, you should have 300 plus 40 plus 2. So now let's add up our different place values. We're going to start with our hundreds, and then move on to our 10s, and move on to our 1s. And then you're going to add up those 3 together. I'd like you to pause your video and do that now. So you should have gotten 100 plus 300 is 400, 0 plus 40 is 40, and 8 plus 2 is 10. Now we're going to add up those 3 to get the final sum. 400 plus 40 is 440, 440 plus 10 is 450. So that is going to be our answer. I would like you to try this one on your own now, using the partial sum. 536 plus 442. Go ahead and try that now. When you pulled apart your numbers, you should have gotten 500 plus 30 plus 6 and 400 plus 40 plus 2. And then when you added your different place values together, you should have gotten 400 plus 500 is 900, 30 plus 40 is 70, and 6 plus 2 is 8. And when you combine those together, you get 978. We're going to try another strategy now. This one is similar to your number line strategy, but it is a little bit different because when we have triple digit numbers, a number line can be way too long to draw out. So we're going to think through the number line kind of like you did at the end of the addition lesson a few lessons ago, and just think it through. You can even write the numbers down, but it's not really efficient to write the actual number line. So we're going to start with 456, and I'm going to think aloud. So 456, and I need to add 321. I'm going to count up and think aloud as I'm doing it. 456. Now I'm going to count up 100. 556. Another 100. 656. Another 100. 756. Okay, I've counted up my 3 100s. Now I still have to count up 21. So 756. I'm going to count up 110. 766. Another 10. 776. Okay, I've just used up my 2 10s. I just have to count up 1 1 now. 776 plus 1 is 777. And that is how you can do the number line strategy without actually using a number line. You're really just counting up. So let's do this one together. Diamond already has 123 pencils to share with her friends at school, but then her dad buys her 531 more pencils. How many pencils does Diamond have now? First, I'd like you to pause your video and write out the number sentence. Go ahead and do that now. Your number sentence should be 123 plus 531. We have our first part, 123, and our second part, 531, and we want to find out what our whole is. So, which number would you like to start with? I'd like you to think about that for a second. Remember, with addition, it doesn't matter which number we start with because we have the two parts and we're finding the whole. So I would start with 531 because that's a larger number and I won't have to count up as much. So 531, let's put that over here. And I have to count up 123. I'd like you to pause your video and try to do that on your own and then turn the video back on and I will walk you through it. Go ahead and do that now. What you may have done is looked at 123 and said, okay, how many hundreds should I count up? There's one 100. So I'm going to count up one 100 to 631. Done with my 100s. Now I just have to count up 23. 631 plus 110, 641. I still have another 10, 651. I just finished with my two 10s. Now I just have to count up three 1s, 652, 653, 654. And you don't have to write all of this out. You can do that all in your head if you're able to do that. Whatever works best for you. So the answer is going to be 654. This one I would like you to do on your own. Justin and Ari enjoy playing Jenga together. They decide to combine their two Jenga sets together. Justin has 275 blocks and Ari has 413 blocks. How many blocks will there be in the tower if they use all the blocks? You're going to have to write the number sentence and then use the counting up strategy to try and solve this problem. Go ahead and do that now. Your answer should be 688. You probably started with 413 because that's the larger number, so you won't have to count up as much. And perhaps you went 400, and then I have two 100s, so 513, 613. Done with my hundreds. Now I have 7 10s. I'm going to do this one in my head. 613, 623, 633, 643, 653, 663, 673, 683. And I just got rid of my 7 10s. Now I'm going to count up 5, and I'm going to get to 688. All right. Now we're going to move on to subtraction. For subtraction, we're going to use a similar strategy to the one we learned in the last lesson, where we counted up using the number line, kind of like we were just doing. But remember with subtraction, you start with your part and you count up to get to your whole to find out what this part is. And again, because there's such large numbers, we don't want to make an actual number line. So we're going to think aloud or write down a few numbers as we need to. So this one, we're starting at 634. And I need to get to 745. So if I count up one 100, that'll get me to 734. And I'm going to notate that I just went up 100 so I don't forget. But I'm not at 745 yet. So what if I count up 10? 744. I just counted up 10. Still not there yet. If I count up 1, 745. And that got me to where I needed to be. So my answer is going to be the amount that I counted up, 111. Because that tells me, if I'm thinking about it on the number line, this is as if I jumped from 634 to 734, a jump of 100, and then a jump of 10 to get to 744, and then a jump of 1 to get to 745. So 111 is the other part to make up our whole of 745. Let's do this one together. Paul started with a large seashell collection at home. Yesterday, he went to the beach and collected 186 more shells. Now he has 599 shells. How many shells did Paul start with? I would like you to pause your video and write the number sentence to go with this. Go ahead and do that now. Your number sentence should be 599 minus 186, because we know that the whole is 599 and part is 186, and we need to find the other part, and that's what our answer is going to be. So now we're going to start with our part 186, and I would like you to pause your video and count up until you get to 599. Pause your video and do that now. This is the way that I choose to count up. You may have done it in smaller or larger increments. Whatever works for you, you can do. So first I counted up 400 from 186 to 586. Then I counted up 10 from 586 to 596, because that got me really close to 599. Then I counted up 3 more to get to 599, and then I add those all together, 413. So I had to count up 413. That's the other part that, when combined with this part, will get me to my whole of 599. I would like you to try this one on your own. A PTA committee is planning for a large parent breakfast. They know that they will need a total of 748 muffins. Several people are already planning to bring 527 muffins. How many more will they need? So write out your number sentence and then do your best to solve it using this counting up strategy. Go ahead and do that now. Again, you may have counted up differently. I did it from 527 to 727, a jump of 200. Then I did a jump of 20 to get to 747, which is really close to 748. And then I jumped up 1 more to get to 748. I add those together, I get 221, and that tells me that my other part, that along with the 527 part, will get me to my whole of 748. You've done such a great job with these strategies, and I hope you'll keep practicing them. But for now, between now and the next video, I'd like you to work on these think about it questions, and think about them and talk to someone about them. How are these strategies helpful or not helpful for you in solving triple-digit addition and subtraction? And if there were no calculators left in the world, which strategies would you use for triple-digit addition and subtraction? I would like you to really think about those and answer them in your head or share them with another person. And then I'll share my answers in the next video. See you later.